In this video, we walk you through the entire disassembly sequence, one step at a time. This procedure is required when mounting elements are worn, damaged, or no longer provide proper stability. Correct replacement ensures secure installation, proper alignment, and safe operation of the lighting unit. Once you identify the steps relevant to your damaged part, you can skip the remaining chapters and move directly to performing the operation. Before you begin the replacement, make sure you have all the required tools. You will need two 8mm spanners, two 13mm spanners, 4mm hex key, screwdriver, flat head screwdriver, and H4 bit. Review the table of recommended force to ensure the torque is set correctly. To disconnect the solar panel cable from the lighting unit, rotate the latch counterclockwise and carefully remove it from the power connector. To remove the lighting unit from the permanent mount, use a 4mm hex key to unscrew the 4 M5x10 screws under the mounting plate. Lift the lighting unit from the mounting plate. Remove the lighting unit from portable mount. Start by releasing the safety latches. Gently remove the lighting unit, being careful not to bend the rear latches. To remove the lamp baseplate, use two 13mm spanners to loosen and unscrew the M8x65 bolt at the end of the long profile. Next, loosen or fully remove the 3 screws located in the frangible connector using either a screwdriver equipped with an H4 bit or a 4mm hex key. After that, remove the lamp baseplate. If the lamp baseplate is the only component requiring replacement, you may skip the remaining steps and move directly to the chapter, Lamp Baseplate Installation. To detach the frangible connector, begin by tightening the upper screws if they have not been completely removed. Then lift the frame with the solar panel off the frangible connector. If you don't need to replace the frangible connector or the concrete baseplate, you can skip the rest of this chapter and move on to solar panel removal. Next, using a multi-bit screwdriver equipped with an H4 bit or a 4mm hex key, unscrew the screws from the lower part of the frangible connector and remove it from the concrete baseplate. If the frangible connector was the only component requiring replacement, you may skip the subsequent disassembly steps and proceed to the chapter titled Frangible Connector Installation. To detach the concrete baseplate, loosen and remove the 3 bolts fastening it to the ground, using an appropriately sized open-ended wrench. Once the bolts are removed, take off the concrete baseplate. If the concrete baseplate was the part that needed replacing, you can skip the rest of the steps and go straight to the chapter, Concrete Baseplate Installation. Set the frame with the solar panel on a table so you can easily reach the screws connected to the solar panel baseplate. Use a 4mm hex key or a screwdriver with an H4 bit to unscrew the 6M5x20 screws holding the solar panel to the base. Next, extract the frame from the unscrewed solar panel by raising the cable and guiding it through the central opening. If only the solar panel required replacement, proceed to the installation process in the chapter, Solar Panel Installation. To remove the long profile, unscrew the 3 M8x65 bolts at the connection with the triangular frames using two 13mm spanners. If the base of the solar panel is damaged but the long profile is in good condition, skip this chapter and continue to the next one. Next, remove the nuts and bolts, and take out the long profile. If the remaining parts don't need to be replaced, you can skip the rest of the chapters and go straight to long profile installation. If one or both triangular frames are damaged, use two 8mm spanners, or an 8mm spanner and a ratchet with an 8mm socket, to unscrew the 5M5x10 bolts securing the triangular frame. If you plan to detach the solar panel baseplate, removing the long profile is not required. In this situation, loosen and remove only the 10 bolts securing it to the triangular frames. Remove the triangular frame from the solar panel baseplate. Next, loosen and remove the second triangular frame from the solar panel baseplate. Prepare the solar mounting base and triangular frames. Prepare 5M5 nuts and 10M5x10 screws to secure the components together. Set the solar base onto the curved upper side of the solar mounting base. Adjust the frames so that they are positioned inside and fix them together. To do this, insert a screw into each hole and tighten it lightly, adding the nuts from the other side. The screws must go in from the convex side of the base and be fastened on the concave side. Using two 8mm spanners, tighten the screws securely from both sides to ensure proper fastening. The triangular frame must remain stable and should not show any movement. Mount the second triangular frame on the other side and fasten it using 5 M5 by 10 screws and M5 nuts. Using two 8mm spanners, tighten the screws securely from both sides to ensure proper fastening. Prepare one long profile and 4 M8 by 65 bolts with M8 nuts. Mount the long profile so that the two small bottom holes are on the outer side, closest to the edge of the solar base. You can place it on either the right or left side. Then, align the profile to allow the 3 M8 by 65 bolts to fit through, and secure them with M8 nuts from the other side. The fourth bolt will be used in one of the upcoming steps. Using two 13mm spanners, tighten the bolts from both sides to ensure a secure connection. Insert the push-in foot components into the two external mounting holes located on the front side of the frame. If you are installing a new solar panel, remove the sticker and loosen the screws positioned on the rear side of the unit. Flip the panel over and remove the screws. Do not clean them, as the white compound protects the screws from seizing. Unscrew the 6 M5 by 20 screws with either a screwdriver or a hex key. Pass the solar panel cable through the middle hole in the base, make sure it goes along the side groove, and fit the frame to the solar panel. Use a 4mm hex key or an H4-bit screwdriver to tighten the 6M 5x20 screws, securing the solar panel to the base. If you didn't remove the concrete baseplate earlier, you can skip this chapter and move on to the next one. Before installing the concrete baseplate, check that the bolt mounting dowels aren't worn and can still be used. If the dowels are worn or cannot hold the component properly, replace them with new ones. Next, align the concrete baseplate with the bolt openings in the hard surface. Then tighten the bolts with the washers using an appropriately sized open-ended wrench. If the base does not move, the installation is properly secured. If you didn't remove the frangible connector from the concrete baseplate, you can skip this chapter and move on to the next one. Attach the frangible connector to the base that has been installed in the ground. The upper part is located where you can see the special flat indentations. Take a hex key and loosen the screws at the bottom slightly. Only enough to create a gap in the center for fitting the component. Place the frangible connector on the concrete baseplate. Then, secure the screws you previously loosened. Mount the frame to the solar base. To do this, align the notch of the frangible connector with the concrete baseplate. Then, slightly loosen the screws located at the top of the frangible connector. Install the lamp mounting base onto the upper section of the frangible connector, positioning the longer side over the long profile. Next, tighten the loosened screws to secure the lamp baseplate to the frame. Check if the element is properly tightened. The lamp baseplate should not be able to move. Insert the M8x65 bolt into the last opening of the long profile and fasten it with a M8 nut on the opposite side. Then, use two 13mm spanners to tighten the bolt securely. Verify that all components are correctly screwed in. Place the lamp on the base and screw it in from underneath, tightening the screws opposite each other. Use 4 M5x10 screws for the installation. Use a 4mm hex key and tighten the screws to keep the lamp steady and secure. Before inserting the lamp, unlock and open the safety latches. Carefully insert the lamp so that the rear part hooks onto the latches holding the lamp in place. Then, close the front safety latches to lock the lamp securely in place. To connect the solar panel, look for the power connector on the side of the lighting unit. When connecting the devices, locate the thickest pin and align pin number 4 with input port number 4, or position it so that the thickest pin faces the power connector cover. Insert the connector carefully until it is fully seated in the socket, then turn the latch clockwise to lock the power cord in place. To learn more about the installation of the lighting unit, refer to the SP-401S Lighting Unit Installation Manual.